Appreciate you. Alrighty. Cheers. Some of my favorite conversations have been with you, just because I feel like you have a very unique, framework for life, perspective, this weird intelligence, but you like shouldn't know, but you're like secretly super smart. And we talk about like all sorts of esoteric stuff and weird ideas about God and hypnosis and philosophy and stuff like that. So first and foremost, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So just a little bit of backstory, I guess. Jill actually hired me, was it like 3 years ago at a company we used to work for and or still kind of work for. And so that's how we originally met. And then we just kind of have stayed in touch, kind of been friends. I don't see you as often, but you agreed to do this, which is really cool.
I think my favorite part about our relationship is that we've grown so much in the last few years. Like we were still talking about this stuff back then, but with the experience and knowledge we had then.
Yes.
And then we've both been growing individually, and like our conversations have evolved, and I feel like they're much deeper now. They're just different.
Yeah. When I remember like you first hiring me, I was for sure way different, and I feel like you were in a much different place.
Yeah.
Do you kind of remember where you were whenever we had first met?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. It was like a big ball of anxiety.
Okay.
I was. I think I was like a year sober.
Okay.
And I was very much in the beginning of my spiritual journey. And I was still really closed-minded, I think, about the idea of God and any sort of power greater than myself. I had a lot of like preconceptions about it that I was still operating with, and I hadn't really opened my mind to what if there's a real thing out there and what would that be like? And so I was very much stuck in the past, like trying to move forward and just sort of like spinning, you know?
Was it always like that? Like throughout your childhood, early adolescence, your early adult years, like you never really had a belief in a God?
I had, so when I grew up, my mom was she was raised Catholic, but when I was born, she was really going down this like yogic path, sort of new age stuff.
Yes.
And we never went to church, and my dad is not religious at all. Although he will say that he believes there's something, but he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much as much as I've ever got out of him.
Okay.
And so we talked, when I was growing up, the primary language was like, the universe is teaching you lessons. The universe is trying to show you this. And if you don't have any basis in this sort of like spiritual education, I think that just feels really scary. Like there's some like massive thing that's like teaching you a lesson and leaving you alone to learn it while you're just suffering.
Yeah, so it's not relational. Yeah, it's just like this grand thing that is ever expanding.
Yeah,
space is scary.
it's very scary. And the idea of like, well, what am I supposed to be learning? And what am I supposed to be doing? And why is there no help? And then it's like, well, what's wrong with me that there's no help? And it like really twists. I feel like I got a very twisted idea of what that is. And so I just sort of abandoned it. Or I would do a lot of spiritual bypassing. I don't know if you know what that, it's like if you have like trauma or emotional problems, but you try to skirt them and not have to actually deal with them by just speaking spiritually and doing like spiritual rationalizations.
Okay.
Like, well, I'll just think really positively and I'll just assert that God's in my life and everything's perfect and God is here and therefore I have to do nothing. I don't have to change anything. And like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the New Age, New Thought movement too, is like you create your own reality. It's your thoughts that are manifesting in the physical realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very dangerous path, I think, to go down, like,
I agree.
Without any guidance or supervision, like my brain just went off with that, I think. For a lot of my early 20s. So
you were this was influenced by your mother?
I think it started there.
Started with your mother.
But we didn't really talk about it. It was just, if I was having problems in school and I would be like, I don't understand why I can't resolve this thing with my friend. It never occurred to me that I just didn't have conflict resolution skills and I needed to learn them. And I don't think she really knew how to help me either.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of just like, well, maybe the universe wants you to learn something, and like, and it kind of ended there.
Okay, so your mom was like at her point where she didn't really know what to do, and then so she just kind of handed it off on the next thing, which would be above her, which would be her God or the universe or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And looking back, I can see that I think I was a pretty difficult child to parent.
Really?
And so I think there was an element of like, I just don't know what to do with you.
Yeah. It worked with the other kid.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this one?
You're right.
Yeah.
She's like, I hope God just steps in. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. And that was not helpful for her to say like, maybe you're learning a greater lesson, or you wanted, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you want explanations? Like you wanted to learn, you wanted to know why you were feeling X, Y, or Z?
Yeah. I think there was very much a lack of feeling guided. And a lot of it was because I was experiencing stuff that genuinely I feel that my mother also experienced, and she never got guidance. So she genuinely didn't have answers for some of the things I was going through.
Okay.
And so we were just sort of we would constantly like hit this wall, and then I feel, looking back over my life, I feel that I didn't really learn or grow much. I changed my environment a lot. I moved a lot. I constantly picked up new jobs, new hobbies. I was a very avid reader. So like intellectually, I had a ton of knowledge, but I was very inept at applying it. And then when I would make mistakes, I didn't really know how to learn from the mistakes.
So there was like no wisdom. Yeah, no correction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could see the issue and not understand like how to fix it, but you could see the issue and like all the fundamentals of it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is this, and this is this. Now what?
And it was all theory.
Yeah, yeah.
and I would struggle. And I think, living like that, feeling, at least inside of me, I felt like really alone, and I was very lonely. And I had all these ideas about like what is the meaning of life and why things happen, because I didn't have a really strong framework. And then there's also this element with addiction where there's like kind of heavy masking. So I feel like a lot of my childhood I was trying on new personalities. So I would be like, okay, I can't really be Jill because that doesn't work because there's all these problems with it and I'm getting punished and whatever. So I would be like, okay, let me reinvent Jill. And my mind would invent a new persona for me. And so I would become the funny girl in the family.
Really?
Or the nice one, or the one that doesn't take no, And so then I became really angry and like, I'm going to be athletic. Okay, now I'm going to be artsy. And I was constantly trying on like, what is going to work? And I think I got further and further away from whatever is the authentic, I don't know what you might call this, I might call it like the inner self, or Christ self maybe. I don't know what you guys might call it.
Yeah.
But I got away from that authentic piece.
Okay.
And that's very painful, I think, to live like that.
Yeah. So two things. Let's just go back. Okay. Real quick. Let's go back to, no, we'll stay on this. Okay. Sorry. What do you mean by like the inner self? Because like when I think of that, I think of two things, like the soul, which is like the very, very depth of you, like who you are, that's eternal. And then there's like the spirit, which would be like the will, emotions, your mind, like those things.
Yeah, I'm speaking more to the eternal part.
Okay.
That's not mind-made. There's the definition of ego, which is like mind-made self. It's like a false self.
Okay.
So I was not expressing who is sincerely Jill. I was not expressing like what I might call like God-given desires or talents or creativity or anything like that. All of that stuff, I was like, you stay in a box.
Yeah.
You're problematic.
Yeah.
I need to be something that's not you. And so I like basically abandoned that and was trying to make up somebody else to be. And it's really probably just like a shame response. But most people that I know that struggle with some form of addiction have, and they would use different words probably, but there's something like this where there's like a double life being led, and there's a separation, and we might even call it like a separation from a relationship with God or higher power, which we all need. And without that, it's like, well, what's going to be the balm? How does life make sense? What is my problem to my solutions? Well, it's this chemical. So anytime there's a problem, I'm not going to bother learning from it. I can't, because I feel like I can't. And then there's this physical component, which is now I need this thing.
Yes.
And I can't stop myself from doing that thing. And then I keep spiraling down that path.
Yes.
Until you.
Yeah, until
implode.
it implodes. Yeah. So how many different, we can call them like identities, do you think you put on trying to find something that fit? And maybe touch a little bit on what wasn't working. Like, what were you trying to change and run from?
Yeah, I think infinite number, right? Because I would mask and mirror the people I was around. So if I was around sporty people, I was sporty too, right?
Yes.
If they were really bookish, well, I read a lot of books. Let me tell you about the books I've read.
Yeah.
And so I was never my full self. There was always little elements.
Yeah, a little influence. Yeah.
Omitting other parts. If I thought maybe you might disagree with me about something, well, I'm just going to hide that and not say it. And I'll just pretend to agree with you, even though secretly I think you're dumb. Like, you know what I mean? So it's really insincere. Okay,
so one of the issues it sounds like you're describing is conflict, which you had alluded to earlier, conflict resolution. What else?
I would say I was out of touch with me, right? I was not very good at identifying like my own basic needs, first off. So even when I was a kid, it was like I couldn't tell if I was cold, if I was hungry, if I was tired.
Really?
If I had an emotion, I didn't really know what it was. I would just be like, I feel bad. It was just, I couldn't say I'm angry and this is why and this is what I need.
Oh.
It was just.
That could be so overwhelming, especially for a child. They don't know how they feel.
No idea.
They don't know how to correct it.
Yeah.
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 And it's like almost instinctual. Yeah.
It's kind of like, sometimes I think I just got stuck at like the age of 4, developmentally in some ways. I just stayed in that place of like, the only thing that matters is my feelings.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what they are, but you need to change so that I can feel better. And I'm going to constantly try to figure out different ways to make you be different so that I could fix this thing. And of course, it never works. So then I take it personally, like there's something wrong with me when I'm just using a faulty technique or a faulty strategy.
How long did you go through life like this? Because you said it was starting to develop in childhood. How long did you go in life? And then what was like the, I guess, breaking point or the change? Or the initial change?
Yeah. I think there were many points where I would constantly be thinking, this can't go on like this. Like something has to change. So I was doing a lot of self-help. And I started with the spiritual stuff, and that didn't really seem to help. Manifesting does not work when you are really spiritually sick. It's like that idea of like, well, just bring into existence the perfect partner or whatever. I would meet somebody who met all my criteria and it would just be horrible and painful. And so I started learning that it's really about the inner state from which I'm looking at the world that's bringing in the, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. But do you think that there's a way for it to work? You do? You think it's okay?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I guess maybe we'll circle back to this.
Okay.
Because I started with this idea of like, I'm just going to use my willpower to direct the quantum energy of the world and make it bring me all the things, and I'm going to be smote happy.
Yeah.
Like.
So that was the end goal.
Yeah. It was like, I don't want to do any work.
Sure.
I just want to be okay.
Yeah.
And just fix me, please. And so I was trying all these different spiritual techniques by myself in secret with no community, no guidance, nothing, just reading books and doing weird stuff by myself.
Okay. Oh, I can imagine you right now just in a closet.
I was such an interesting kid. So then that didn't really work. So then I thought, well, maybe I have like a psychiatric disorder. And so I convinced this doctor that I did, and I picked the one I wanted. And I picked the medication I thought was the right medication, and I presented very well to get all those meds, and I got the meds, and it didn't fix the thing. So you can see how like my mind and my ego were trying to fix me. It's like trying to control the process of my healing and my fixingness.
Yes.
And so that didn't work. And then, you know, as we're going, like the addiction is getting worse. So it started like kind of the way everybody starts when it's just I'm young and I'm partying and it's fun. And everybody does this, so therefore it's okay. To, okay, other people are starting to tone it back and I'm unable to do that for some reason. And I really thought I was making bad choices, that I had like a moral failing, that like if I could just get more willpower, I could improve myself, which I think is partly due to how I was raised, because we really, growing up, we talked about addiction being a choice. And I remember thinking, I'm going to choose never to have that happen to me, without knowing that it's not something that is a conscious choice. And then eventually it became to the point where I was like every single day I was using or drinking. And I'd wake up in the morning and say, I don't want to do this today. Like, that was the last time. I'm turning my life around, fixing this, and I would come up with some plan. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get a new job. I'm going to move. I'm going to clean my house. There's like maggots in the trash. Like, I'm going to put all this stuff behind me, turn a new page, and I'm changing tomorrow. And then like 2 hours would go by, and I would be in so much pain. I honestly think that the kind of torture that comes when you like need the thing when you have no solution and you're just in that kind of pain, I honestly think there's no worse torture than that. And so I needed it, and my mind would do whatever it needed to do to make it okay for me to do it. So it would tell me it wasn't that bad, the other people were too dramatic, that if I could control it doing this other technique, right? And like, this is not just to people with substance use addiction, right? We all do this with, it could be any kind of addiction, be spending, love addicts, right?
Yeah, we justify it all the time. Yeah.
And so, and then I would start again. And then there's this physical component, which was that I couldn't stop once I started. So my mind would say, I'm only having one or two. Tomorrow I have to get on a flight or something. And I would get home at 6 a.m. and I'd be like, how did that happen again? I only meant to have one or two. And so I didn't understand that physical part was completely out of my control.
Wow, yeah.
And I thought I should be able to control that with my mind. And so after years of that, like just continually trying to stop and not being able to, and trying at a certain point, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there's like a surrender, I think.
Yes.
And I don't feel that I made a choice to surrender. I feel that I was surrendered. And that it happened to me. Finally, I just went, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to stop doing this.
Okay. So it started out not as detrimental in your childhood, but then it slowly progressed to now where you're, getting medication and there's substances and drinking. And now it's like really wreaking havoc on your life for a long time. But it's still the same root issue, right? Do you think there's a spiritual component to addictions and stuff like that? Yeah.
I've done some reading. Carl Jung talks a lot about, I think he's actually the guy, and I'm not totally sure, but I think he's the one that coined the idea of it being a spiritual malady. And he said that any person who has this type of addiction is really just yearning for a connection with some sort of spiritual life and is unable to bring about that connection and feels powerless over it. And so we sort of manufacture it using chemicals.
I see.
Because when I would, there's like without it, I don't feel right. And with it, there's a sense of like,
a little bit of relief. Yeah.
Like everything's okay.
Yeah.
I don't have to pretend. I can just be.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. There's nothing. I'm not in a hurry anymore. And so it was really like the balm that now I have a substitute for that, which is a relationship with my higher power. But that's ultimately the yearning. And it doesn't have to be called a relationship with God. There are a lot of people in 12-step programs who are atheist or agnostic, but describe similar. When I'm talking about my spiritual experiences, they're describing the same thing with different words.
Okay. Another question that I had is like the justification that you alluded to earlier about in the mind. So it's like, you don't want to do the thing, but then you, for whatever reason, you justify it and you do the thing, and then it ends up being, you take it way farther than you want it to. Right. And I'm curious because I think like the Bible describes the enemy, the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call him, as like an accuser, someone that brings on like condemnation, shame. And so I think a lot of times for Christians or just people in general, whenever they're tempted with a sin or they're committing a sin, it's like they can talk themselves into it, and the enemy will make it sound real sweet and it's not a big deal. And then as soon as it happens, then rushes in all of this like condemnation, like, oh my goodness, like how dirty you are, how could you? You can't control yourself, this and that. So was it a lot of that?
Yeah.
It was a lot of that.
Endless. Yeah, for like 12 years, I think probably is when I first started using and drinking to when I got sober.
Okay.
It was 12 years. And that part extended even before.
Really? Like before? Really?
Yeah.
Just like in your day-to-day?
Just as a kid, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it constantly, why did you do that?
Yeah, and this gets to my point of like, I think there's a spiritual root, right? Like I feel like the Bible would say like if you're not in the body of Christ, you haven't like accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior, you're not filled with the Holy Spirit, then basically you're just like walking the ways of the world, right? Now, I'm not saying that Christians aren't tempted by the enemy and they're not like exempt from sin, like I think Christians are probably persecuted more because they have put their faith and trust in Christ and now they kind of walk in the Spirit. But I would see that as like a tactic from the enemy, is like because he knows your whole life, right? Like he knows the long journey, where you're headed. So he's like kind of keeping you in this box of shame, even though you don't know God, right? Just tormenting you, like you mentioned earlier. And then it reaches its peak, which is really upsetting for him. And now you're kind of on the journey of toward the faith, toward like truth, toward recovery, toward reconciliation. Yeah, all that. So what was, I guess, what was that final straw before you were kind of saying like, I give up, like you surrender?
I don't know if there's like a singular moment. Well, there was kind of a process and then there was a pinnacle, but
okay.
So I had been telling myself I would stop.
Yes.
And I was at the point where I was like, I'm stopping forever.
Okay.
It wasn't just like for a couple weeks or until this thing happens. It was like, I want to be done forever.
Okay. So you had seen just your life kind of,
Yeah.
And you wanted.
I wanted change. I wanted, by this time I knew, and I had known for years that once I started, I couldn't stop. So I was managing when I would start. Like if there was something important to do, I would wait till after, and then I would drink. So I was managing that.
Okay.
I was trying to manage how much, like the quantity, the frequency, and I was just tired of doing that because there was no winning. And there was a point where, so COVID happened, and my dad was calling me stinky because I would wear the same nightgown and bathrobe for like a week or two on end, and I wouldn't shower. So he was just like, oh, they're stinky again, And I realized like almost 30, and I really was at, growing up, all I wanted was like a happy, healthy family. I wanted everyone to be like genuinely present and happy, and we were just a stressed out, chaotic family. And there was a lot of love, but I was so caught up in my own stuff, I really didn't see or feel it. And so I wanted to get married, I wanted to have kids, and I just sort of thought it would naturally happen. And one day I would just sort of wake up and not feel like drinking anymore, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to use self-hypnosis, and I'm going to use all of my willpower. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to stop.
Yes.
And I would go to bed at night and I would be like affirming, I'm satisfied with just one. I am sober, I'm happy, I'm married, I'm blah, blah. And like, didn't work, right? Didn't work. But it didn't work right away, right? I am sober, so maybe it worked. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But like, so I was doing that, and I decided to stay sober for 30 days. And then I was going to get into a relationship with the love of my life, who I hadn't met yet. And then I was going to get married and have kids. That was the plan. And so
I love it.
So I was like, this is what I'm doing. So I was like, I'm affirming this every night before I go to sleep until I fall asleep.
Yeah.
And like visualizing it. And I managed to make it 30 days.
Just by doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I made it 30 days. And
that's a long time.
the thing with real addiction is you can't stop once you start, and you can't stay stopped. So you can stop for brief periods, but the periods usually get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yes.
So I made it 30 days and met the guy at the hardware store. Asked him out.
That you were going to marry?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, there he is. And I don't know, he's just some guy, right?
Yeah.
So I asked him out. We started dating. We moved in together 2 weeks later.
Oh my goodness, it's happening.
It was happening. I was like, thank you. And it was not good. It was really bad.
Yeah, no duh.
Right?
Yeah. There's no God in it.
No God.
Yeah.
It's all ego, all self, all fear, pretending, totally dismissing all of the problems and ignoring them.
Yeah.
And little did I know that he was really struggling with IV drugs, and he was lying to me about it, and I was lying to him about my problems.
Sure.
And within about, I don't know, we made it a few months before he was using again, and I was like on and off with trying not to drink and use. And finally, I remember being like just terrified that he was gonna die, because he would be gone for like days.
Really?
And just
like on a binge somewhere? Yeah.
And just getting drugs from people on the street, and he would go off on his bike. And I remember spending a night, and I had called a friend of mine whose partner was in a 12-step program, and I think they might have been engaged. But so her fiance was, I was like, let me talk to him, and let me see if he can help me get this guy sober, which is, it's funny how, God works. Yeah. So he talks to me all about addiction, and I'm starting to hear for the first time somebody else saying my inner thoughts that I've never said out loud, like all the shame around why can't I stop? And I'm like, well, I don't have that problem. It's not me, but it's him.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Who is this guy again?
He is my really good friend's fiance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had never met him before.
Okay.
Okay. So he's carrying to me this spiritual message of recovery. And I think he could see that I was like, no, I'm not that way. And so he kind of played me. He was like, oh, well, you have this really hard problem of the codependence, and you have to go get help for that. And so he sent me to a 12-step program for that. And of course, I got there and didn't relate to anyone, because that wasn't my problem. I needed to be in something else.
Yes.
Right? And so, but he called it the window of grace, where the illusion of control is shattered, and it happens in every person's life when they're having addiction, and they realize I'm no match for this thing. And in that moment, you're willing to get help. But then the window closes if you do nothing, and then it might reopen, and And so I was watching this guy I was dating going in and out, in and out. I'm willing, no, I'm not. I'm willing, no, I'm not. And he would say to me, you don't understand. Nobody understands me. And I would be like, you're saying my innermost thoughts. So I was starting to see, basically, right?
It's like a mirror almost.
It was a mirror, perfect mirror. And I surrendered the relationship. That was as far as I went. I remember crying and saying to God, like, please I just don't want him to die.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care anymore about marriage, kids, family. I don't care about anything me. Let go of all the expectations and outcomes I have. Just please help this person not die. And whatever that means for our relationship, I give up.
So you were kind of like coming to the point of surrender where you're sacrificing, in a way, all the things that you wanted just to help him live. Yeah, so that was kind of like a big breaking point where you see yourself not as God, but as like depending on God. Yeah. Wow.
The relationship changed for the
I bet.
first time. Instead of me trying to control this guy and the outcome, I let go of that and said, I need help.
Yes.
And so we broke up very peacefully, like a month later. He owed me a bunch of money. He paid it all back over time.
Really?
It was such a peaceful breakup. And I really look at him. I have no idea where he is or if he's okay, but I think about him often.
Yeah.
And he moved out, and I said, this is great. I bet you now that this is all over, I can control it.
It's so dumb.
There's an insanity there.
Yeah.
And I really thought I could. And I started again, and within 2 months, I was back to the worst experiences internally that I had ever had.
Oh my goodness.
The suicidal thinking, the really reckless behavior, the I cannot stop at all. And I had heard the other guy talking to me about it, right? And I had seen it in the guy I was dating.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, I know what this is.
Yeah.
For the first time, I saw what it was.
You could identify it. Okay.
Not like I suck and I'm a personal failure, but like this is a disease.
Yeah.
And so that's when I said, okay, I'm going to get some help. So I just started going to different 12-step programs. I started going back to therapy. There was like a lot of different things I did in that process. But I think the real surrender actually came a little bit later.
Okay.
So there was, and you guys actually talked about this in your last interview with Adrian. He was talking about, the words he used was like experiencing the Holy Spirit in him.
Yes.
And when he was describing it, I was like, that's the thing I experienced.
Tell me about that.
So I was about 2 months sober, and I was learning about these things, right? I was learning about the physical part, the mental part, the twisting mind stuff, about the spiritual part. And I was starting to admit to myself, maybe this is really what's going on, and it's not something else. And
it's not Jill.
It's not a Jill problem. I mean, it's a Jill problem, but it's not like inherently that I'm a broken, flawed human that needs to be recalled by the manufacturer, but got forgotten. But actually, there's this other issue.
Yeah.
So I was driving, and there's a really painful memory that I have that happened where I did some things that I had deeply regretted and hurt some people. And I was starting to have this feeling of like, maybe everything's going to be okay. Maybe this is the problem, and there really is this solution for me here. And then I was like breathing really hard, and I was like, okay, I gotta pull over. This is not good. I should not be driving like this. And so I pulled over, not looking where I was going, and I had pulled into like this parking lot of a franchise where the thing had happened, the like really painful, horrible thing. And I looked up and saw that that's where I was at the exact moment that the radio was singing something about like, forgive my sins, I didn't know I had been sinning, and like it was like I was using God as a rock or as a stepping stone instead of a rock. And it like put into words my exact experience with it.
Just gave me goosebumps.
And like all of a sudden I was just sitting there, and I looked up and I was like, right as the music's going, and I don't really know how to describe this, but it's almost like I jumped out of me and I saw me from this other perspective. And it was like I was in the midst of, I used to call it like self-compassion, but I think that minimizes it a little bit. It was more just like the midst of like just complete love and acceptance. And I saw me, and and the moment, like the painful things and all the things that had led up to it and all the things since then, like in a flash, right? And I was like, she just had no idea.
Yeah.
She was just terrified and alone and didn't know that she wasn't alone. Didn't know that things could be okay. And like, it's just okay.
Yeah.
And like, everything's going to be fine.
Okay.
And it was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like the most peaceful. I was just sobbing, you know?
So you had this, I kind of describe it as like a mark. Like God will kind of mark you at different points in your life.
Okay.
Did you ever, so you said the song on the radio was talking about like forgiveness and confessing sins, repentance. Did you do that in that moment?
It felt like it happened.
I felt like it happened to you, but you didn't like verbally confess the sins that you had committed at that spot.
No, not in a verbal way.
No.
But I was reliving them almost, but from this perspective of love.
Oh, interesting.
So I kind of went through them very fast.
Yes.
And was like, okay, I was wrong here. I was wrong here.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really lasting. Like it happened, and I kind of think it was like a teaser. Like this is your future if you keep going this path.
Yeah.
But it didn't stay with me. It really only lasted like a couple of days, and then it was gone.
What do you mean lasted?
The feeling, just the like sense of peace.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So you have this. So you at that point you were like a couple months into recovery. You have this moment, and then you, I assume, just kind of continue to journey down recovery and like self-help and things of that nature, therapy. For how long until we get back to the very beginning of this conversation where you and I met?
Probably from then to when I met you was like 8 months.
8 months, so still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've stayed in recovery the whole time?
Yeah, so I belong to a 12-step program. And of course, everything I say is I don't represent any 12-step programs. I'm just a singular human who's done her best to do what the literature asks.
Yes.
So everything's my own opinion.
Okay. I love your opinion.
It's the best opinion. So, yeah, I kept doing that, and I was attempting my best to work the 12 steps, which are a spiritual program of recovery, and it's like kind of like a spiritual exercises. And the idea is that by the end of it, you do the 12 steps, and you've established a relationship with God, and the thing inside you, which is in the way of that relationship, has been worked through, is being removed, is no longer blocking that relationship. And so now I can have access to the power which keeps me sober.
So it's almost like you had to have those couple moments with God before you could start this program. Like you needed to have that moment in the parking lot with the song and all that. And then you needed to have the moment with that user boyfriend of yours, right? And the peaceful breakup and all that.
Yeah.
To kind of see God is present and playing before you could actually do some of the work, right? Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay.
I think it's very difficult to do the work in the 12 steps without reliance on something that feels loving, because it can be done with just the mind.
Yes.
It can be incredibly abusive. Like I could use it to beat myself up, to continue the shame cycle. And there's like a process where we do a moral inventory, and there's a process where we make amends to people we've harmed. And if I'm coming at that from a place of I'm a victim and I'm full of self-pity, I will just use it as a weapon against myself. And there's not very much recovery or hope in that, because I haven't changed anything. I'm just using another outside thing to do the exact same thing to myself I was doing in recovery, in addiction, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. So I understand. So I kind of want to touch a little bit on these steps. Now, we don't have to go through all of them, obviously, but are there like a couple that you found in year one of recovery that were like, whoa, like there's some big change here? And then same question to like maybe year two, year three, maybe they've kind of changed. Like year three, you're like, this one was really impactful in the beginning, but now I'm really relating to this one, or maybe not. Maybe they're all equal.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes I think of them like there's it's a process, right?
Yes, 12.
And at the end of the process, it's not just about staying sober and being dry, because if I was just the same way but not using or drinking, I would be miserable.
Yeah, it would still suck.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of one way I knew I was like the real thing, because I got much, much worse when I stopped.
So is the end goal just to lead you to God in a relationship with Him?
Yeah.
Yes.
And to establish basically an entirely new way of living.
Okay.
Like a whole new way of relating to the world. And it's all an inner transformation. It's not about changing my car, changing my job.
Sure.
But it's about reviewing all of the principles that I live my life based on and aligning them with spiritual principles instead. And then behaving aligned with spiritual principles instead.
Interesting.
And that is a very effective way of living, I have found.
Okay.
Versus the other way where I could never get anything done and I was not able to learn.
Yeah.
And I couldn't keep relationships alive.
Yeah.
I didn't care about other people really. I cared about what they thought of me.
Yeah.
But
such pride.
a lot of pride.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time. I would walk into a room and be like, what does everyone think of me? And I would mask it by saying it was anxiety. And really it was just pride.
Yeah.
But anyways, are there a couple steps maybe that we could unpack a little bit that you thought were really beneficial? Because I know they're all kind of spiritual and mental and physical, but I don't know any of them really.
Yeah. So the first time I attempted to do them, I decided to skip the God part.
Smart.
And I thought I was being smart because I had done so much twisted stuff with spirituality that I was really turned around.
Like the new age, new thought stuff. Yes.
And it was very difficult for me to look at these exercises without that like sort of poisoning my, like what I was doing. And so I tried to just leave it out completely. And I didn't get very far. I started the process of making amends and I was just having like panic attacks and because ultimately I had not really gotten beyond my own ego.
Yeah.
And so then I started doing them again, and I tried to do, we have a book that there's like a textbook, and I tried to do just exactly what the textbook said to do, exactly the way it said to do it. And if it was talking about like mental attitudes that I should have, I would do my best to adopt those. And if there were things that it would be like, okay, you do these things and then this should happen, I would review, did those things happen or not? And if they didn't, I'm going back and I'm doing that thing again until I get the result that it's saying. Because the book is based on experience. It's not theory. It's written on people's actual successful experience.
Okay.
So I wanted to match my experiences closely to theirs to give myself the best chance.
Yes.
So I did it again. So when I talked earlier about like all the different masks I was wearing.
Yes.
And how Jill is over here in a box. The book sometimes refers to it like an inner resource, God. I mean, it uses many different words because the program is not religious. It's very open to whatever your conception is. So I was writing, in the process of writing moral inventory, I started to see all of the masks and I got clear on what I was not, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so I could start to see all of the behaviors that I was doing that were inherently selfish because they're based on selfish ideas of self and ego and how they were causing all of the problems in my life.
Yeah.
And instead of solving the problem, I would just invent a new identity and create more problems, different problems, and then invent a new identity. So it was like no wonder I couldn't learn or change. So I had to see those and like get space from the masks I was wearing and like almost detach from them so that they no longer seemed real because they were telling me, you need to do this, the world works like this. If if you're open and vulnerable, people take advantage of you, so you can never be open and vulnerable. Like I had to start seeing that those are lies and they're not true and start to get stepping away. That's what that process gave to me. And then it was like, well, if I'm over here looking at that, then what is this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if this is not me, then who is me?
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, was really the beginning of, like, I started to live in a sense of peace and okayness, because then it became like, okay, now I'm just on an adventure.
Yeah.
To just discover.
And it can be exciting when you're doing it with God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who is Jill then?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah. Okay, we don't know. So we know.
Whatever you see, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so we know it's not all of these other things that you were trying to identify with or cope with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But okay. So there's no like clear, do you have ideas about what you think you are or who you think you are? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, like, if you believe in God, and we can get into the details of God if you'd like, but I assume you believe you're created, mm-hmm. and that you have value, mm-hmm. and purpose, mm-hmm. and you're loved, right? And you've been given resources, and all, like, those are just a few of the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. So you agree with that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So I would say that's a big step from someone that was, doing the New Age, New Thought stuff, and then just like even your first round in the 12 steps, like just knowing those things and believing those things and experiencing them. Yeah. That's like, oh yeah, I'm not those things. Those things suck.
Yeah, this is painful.
Yeah.
One really cool thing I learned was that I had an idea of what I thought selfish meant. And I thought it just meant, like, I just pictured like a bully on the schoolyard, right?
Yeah,
and that's what I thought. So whenever people would use that word, I would be like, I'm not that. Yeah. So therefore I'm not selfish. Oh. And so I was like disidentifying, and a lot of people will say that, like, egotistical means to be grandiose and great. Mm-hmm. But I learned that that's not actually true for me. I didn't have a grandiose, in a way I did, but a lot of the way I presented was people-pleasing, way too kind, way too caring about other people's feelings. None of it was sincere. It was all from a place of selfish motives. I'm doing this to keep myself safe, not because I actually genuinely cared about another person. People-pleasing is really selfish. Yeah, inherently.
I see.
But most people wouldn't call it that. And so it was very contradictory in my mind to say, okay, I'm being really selfish here. I'm being really too nice, or like too gracious, not saying my real feeling. If I disagreed, I wouldn't disagree, right? I wouldn't tell you my honest thoughts.
Yeah.
And
You're lying.
I'm lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to most people, that looks very kind.
Yes.
So
humble. There's like this fake humility. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I learned that I really like the definition of ego is just mind-made self, because my mind-made self was really kind.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I'm not actually kind.
Yeah.
But now I get to experience genuine kindness. One thing that happened was I gave my face permission to be my face. Yeah. Instead of being this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, hi, oh my God.
Oh, so annoying.
Yeah. And I there would be days where I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I was just
smiling,
because, and that was just a survival mechanism. So being able to shed that.
Yeah. Okay. I imagine, like a newborn baby deer, how they like come out and they're just like wobbling around. I feel like that's probably how I think a lot of people are. I know for me in my faith journey, the first couple of years, I was wobbling around, making all sorts of mistakes, mm-hmm. and being judgmental and prideful. I'm still that way, but it's a lot better.
Yeah.
And so I suspect that's what I imagine when I see you in this like first couple of years of your program, right? And I had the opportunity of kind of being around you mm-hmm. during some of that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like you're on this path and you see fruit, like you see good things coming from it, right? And there's growth and there's insight and there's spiritual moments, but at the same time, it's like you're still stumbling, you're still wobbling, you're still maybe in not so great relationships or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was there some of that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and one thing that was really beautiful about that process was that I didn't feel really comfortable being alone, so I was very busy. I would distract myself a lot because if I was alone, my mind would go, oh, I bet you if you could probably control it this way. There was still a lot of old mental habits that needed to be broken. And so part of that was I would go to where we worked when I was not great. And I was like, I just need to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I would just go there and you'd be working.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, I'm going to sit here for an hour and a half and just talk with you.
Yeah.
And then,
which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so someone said to me once that God uses everything. And I really love that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there was a lot of stumbling, not knowing, early on there was this guy that was kind of following me around. And I think he was in a really sad, sick place. And he was trying to replace his drug of choice or whatever, if you would call it that, with like a romantic relationship.
Sure.
And so he was really, and I didn't like that. But I didn't know how to, he'd call me and I didn't know how, I couldn't get off the phone. Like I literally didn't have the ability to be like, I have to go. I would just spend the phone with like 3 hours. I would just be on the phone with him like, how do I get out of here? Because I'm saying I didn't have the skills.
So like part of the people pleasing thing and stuff like that. Okay. Where did you learn these skills? Was it part of the?
I think having a community of people who walk this way of life is so important.
Yes.
Because that means that there is this huge pool of knowledge.
Yeah.
And now I can sit down and I can pray about something and be like, okay, guide me to where the answer is. And next thing I know, I'm talking with a person who's like, oh, I've been there. I know what you need to be doing right now here. Or like, try these 3 things, or have you considered this? And giving me that input that now I'm able to hear without taking it personally.
Okay. That's beautiful. What is your role now within this community?
So I stay involved.
Stay involved.
I still go to meetings. It primarily works through meetings, right? Because 12-step programs are just a fellowship, essentially, of people who have the same problem, but also have a shared solution. And so we call it experience, strength, and hope, where we're sharing the solution with other people who they haven't found.
Yes.
They haven't found the solution yet.
Okay.
And that's me back when I thought the problem was me not having enough willpower.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But once I learned that that wasn't the problem, that I had a spiritual disease and a physical addiction that I couldn't overcome, it changed everything. So there's power in sharing what the problem actually is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of it comes directly from your book, but then everyone else has different experiences and relates in different ways. And so sharing that, having education, having community, fellowship, they all kind of support one another in that way. Yeah. Have you because it's been, I don't know, 3.5, 4 years you've been sober? Okay. Yeah. So I don't know, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
But I also don't know, or I want to know how your perception and idea of God has changed.
Good question.
Yeah.
I think I hit the mic. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So it started out with this, God is a busboy, right?
Yeah.
I have this thing I want.
Yeah.
You have the power. You bring to me. Right?
Yes. So sweet.
That's where it started.
And
I've
been there.
And the new age thing, right? I command the quantum stuff that brings me all of the magic that I want, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So
you couldn't handle it.
Delusional. And so I was in that space. And then it went to, I was kind of trying to operate with that same thing, just like, okay, I'm starting with this, but I don't really know how it's going to work, so I'm just going to try it. And it really didn't work. I honestly had to unbelieve, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So most people come to believe. I had to come to unbelieve. I had to realize that the God that I had in my mind was a figment of my imagination that I was using as a target to project all of my early experiences with authority figures. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, God is punishing. God is, if I don't do this right, then God's going to take this thing away. If I show up badly today and I'm not real spiritual, then maybe like this, I'll get in a car accident. Like I just had these ideas of like these wild magical consequences that would just appear.
Okay. Sorry, keep
go
going.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think this also ties all the way back to like the universe teaching you lessons and just not giving you definitive answers? Like it's beyond your comprehension right now. Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
What I've learned, well, from my own experience and what I've seen other people, is that most people do this. We have preconceptions, and we don't. If we have a really icky conception because we've had really nasty experiences with other authority figures, why would you want to pray to that thing? Why would you go, yes, let me be in relationship with that? You'd go, no, that's painful. I don't want that. That sounds terrible. And I agree, don't want that. So I was applying all these human characteristics to it, like capriciousness, retaliation, punitiveness, the idea that it could just be sitting back twiddling its thumbs while I'm suffering and it's going, she'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And so, like, no wonder I didn't, right? It's very interesting to realize that that is a form of selfishness that I get to be free of through a real relationship with God. Because if that is just my own mind, making up a thing that I'm now having a relationship with in my own mind to punish me, it's just a me thing.
Yeah, it sounds like a tactic from the enemy. Yeah, to keep you kind of in that cycle, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I just love how we use different words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so cool.
Okay. So you had come to believe in a God and you kind of got specific with it. Did you ever look into like different religions? You did? Yeah,
so and in my previous years, I had read bunches of books on different religions.
Okay.
And thinking one of them would be the answer.
Yeah.
And what really was the turning point for me was I was doing this thing called two-way prayer. And I was doing it because I was told, it was like my second time through the steps or third time. And I was like, a part of step 2, I'm going to really be bringing in, and my step 11 is bringing in this daily contact. And so I would, write out my prayers, and then I would sit quietly and wait, and then write the thoughts that come to me, and then check them. Is this loving? Is this kind? Is this whatever? And I was getting worse. Like, I was getting very anxious and stressed out, fearful. My stomach would be turning, and it was increasing over months. And so I finally called this guy he's Christian, and he's in the 12-step program, and I really admire him. And I called him and I was like, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? And he said, the words he used was, you're experiencing spiritual attack and you're not communicating with God. You're communicating with something else. And so I was like, well, that's what I thought, but I was trying, right? I'm doing the thing.
Yeah.
And that's why we need guidance. Doing stuff on our own, like, it's just, there's so many people that are suffering without spiritual supervision, and we just need the guidance. So I'm doing that. So he said, address your prayers, like postage, so I started putting postage on my prayer. So before I would start, I would say, okay, I'm praying to that power, which is real, which is all things lovely, peaceful, like joyful, like just all of the qualities, right? And that's the thing that I'm praying with, or to, or about, or whatever words you use.
Okay.
And that's who I'm communicating with. And then I would kind of wait until I got a feeling of like peace, and then I would commence the prayer.
Okay.
So that helped.
Okay.
And somewhere in that process, I realized that I was absolutely full of crap and I knew nothing about God. But I thought I did.
Okay.
And so that opened the door, unbelieving, realizing that I was having an imaginary experience with something that wasn't real, versus what if the people that have come before me on this path really are in contact with something that's truly healing, powerful, redemptive, love, whatever.
Do you think that by chance you could have been contacting like demonic spirits? There were open, I guess, like portals through, whether it's by your own conscious decision or something unconsciously or generationally, perhaps, that was passed down. I don't know all the intricacies. But I think sometimes the enemy is described as like, like a false light, like comes as like an angel of light, right? And so you could think that's how it was for me in the New Age. It's like, oh, it's loving, it's peaceful, it's just great. And he kind of gives you like these little false nuggets, right? And then you kind of take them, and then really you're in spiritual bondage. You know, you don't know, because it's like you get these little highs here and there, or these reassurance moments, but it's like, no, actually you're being deceived. You're under the thumb of the enemy. You perish because your lack of understanding. Do you think there was some of that maybe?
Yeah, your description of it, like the internal experience of that,
Yeah,
is on par. Yeah.
okay.
And I have no idea about any of these things, right? But that's the experience.
Okay, so what about now? Like or maybe we should go back, because you had read some spiritual religious books. What was your conclusion? And maybe what did you read, if you recall?
I came to the idea of there being like a perennial philosophy, if you will. So like the thing that's real. Okay, so let me start over. If 5 people witness a crime and they all go to the courthouse and they describe what they saw, how many different versions of it are there?
5.
5. So everything is colored by human interpretation, essentially, in each individual's interpretation. So what I came to was that there's one thing that is real, that is, is maybe like natural. This is sort of my own like philosophizing, I guess. I generally try to stay away from philosophizing because my ego will be like, I know everything.
Yeah.
So I try to stay away generally. But if I was philosophizing, I'd say there's one thing that's real that is kind of a natural part of being human, to have a relationship with it, to live in conjunction, partnership with it.
Okay.
And so because it's natural to the human, across all time, all ages, people find different ways to explain it, different ways to create or block it or whatever. And so, like, in reading all that stuff, I was kind of like, it seems like they're kind of talking about the same thing.
Okay.
But different words, different experiences, different views. Like, if there's a saying that's like, if you tried to, 3 guys are eating an elephant, and one guy's like, oh, it's really squishy or something. Like, it's like a tree trunk because it's really big, and are they eating it or are they touching it? I can't remember. Do you know this saying?
You've said it to me before. I think they were touching it, though.
Were they touching it? They're not eating the
I
elephant?
don't think they're eating it yet.
I might be conflating 2 different things. Okay, so it's dark, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is dark.
And one guy's like, it's a tree trunk.
Yes.
Because he's touching the leg of the elephant.
Yeah.
And another guy is touching the ear, and I don't know, I can't remember what he says it is. And another guy's touching the trunk, and so they all are saying like, no, it's this. No, it's this.
Yeah.
They're all arguing, but it's an elephant.
Yes.
But you just only see what you can see.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, partly. So, okay. Do you remember some of the books that you were reading? Did you ever look into Christianity specifically? No.
Never before. Well, I guess I had sort of, in that I had read like Florence Scovel Shinn.
Who is that?
And I'm fairly certain she's Christian. And she's writes about, God, I don't even know what the word is. This is how long it's been.
Okay. That's all right.
Yes, we could Google it. But it's sort of like how to use your mind in alignment with like right thinking, right whatever.
Yeah.
To access the power to bring about whatever.
Okay.
In your life.
Okay.
Which can be very easily misconstrued as manifesting.
Yes, that's where my mind just went. Okay.
And so I had read some of that stuff prior, and it didn't work for me.
Yeah, I
Right.
bet.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that pretty much it on your Christian studies? So
would say.
whenever you're praying now, like how do you address God? Because it sounds like you would describe God as one thing, right? Not many things, not many gods.
Not many gods.
Okay, so that automatically kind of rules out a couple like Eastern religions and philosophies, right? So if we know God is like monotheistic, one, then our categories are already shorter,
Right.
right?
Yeah, in terms of religion.
In terms of, and well, I guess we would have to ask like what you mean by religion. Are you saying like just how you would follow that God, how you would worship him, submit?
Like the rituals maybe associated with it.
Okay,
I don't consider myself religious, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
more so spiritual. Okay. So you've never have you ever read the Gospels? Have you ever, do you understand what the Gospels are?
Yes.
You do?
So in my recovery is when I started looking more into the Bible.
Okay.
And that was because the guy that I talked to was Christian.
Yes.
And he recommended a book to me called When Man Listens. And it's a really old book by a guy named Cecil Rose. And it's all about prayer. And I think that guy actually came from the Oxford Groups, which was a Christian organization before 12-step programs that they're kind of based on. So I read that, and that really opened me up to, like, I need to be reading more different types of things because I need to be expanding and growing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's when I started, and I had tried reading the Bible prior to that and had struggled because I think it's kind of like the same problem as before where I'm doing it alone, like on my own, trying to interpret it with do you know what I mean? It's very confusing.
Yeah.
And my mind can twist what I'm reading
Sure.
to make it meet my own ends,
Yeah.
to reinforce my own negative or destructive thinking.
Possibly.
And then now I have proof that I'm right? And that's dangerous for me.
Okay. Do you feel like that same struggle when you read another book, a novel?
Any spiritual books.
Any spiritual book.
So I basically I am starting at the base. I'm not reading anything advanced spirituality. I have my book for my 12-step program, and I'm going to read this book about the basics of prayer. Or I'm going to read Stanley Jones or something like How to Pray, like Leslie Merriweather, The Beginnings of Prayer. You know what I mean? And I read a book by Henry Drummond called The Greatest Thing that's about Corinthians. It's like about love. So I was like kind of reading these books that talk a lot about the Bible.
Okay.
And quote the Bible.
Almost like a stepping stone or something. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Do you think, I mean, I don't know how much you know, but do you think that Jesus Christ, Christianity, is the same as some of Islam, the same as Buddhism, the same as Hinduism, Taoism, Jainism? Do you think it's all just, because you kind of said earlier that there's one, and then everyone has like these interpretations or these stakes on it, but they're describing the same thing. So you don't see Christianity and Christ as unique and different in any way?
I don't know if I can really speak to that. I can only speak to what I've been exposed to.
Okay.
And within the realm of people that I know that are walking a spiritual path includes basically every religion.
Interesting.
But also all of us are following a 12-step way of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are a lot of times where there's conversations about like, what is God to you?
Yeah.
Or what does the experience of knowing that God is in your life is like? Or what is it like when you're having an emotional experience of the presence of God? Or, right, like there's obviously different ways of just like talking about that and getting at that. And what I have found is that most people describe sort of the same thing.
Interesting.
Like experientially.
Yeah.
It's experienced the same. And we might use different vocabulary. The words are just a mind-made thing to translate something that's beyond the mind. Like obviously the experience of God is not a mind-experienced thing. It's like it's beyond that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we use words to do our best to translate a thing that's beyond words.
Something that I think is interesting that is illustrated in the Bible that I think overlaps with different 12-step programs and different recovery programs are like a surrender to God, forgiveness of sins, like forgiving self, forgiving others, repentance, and then surrender, forgiveness, repentance, and then like action.
Yeah.
Would you say those 4 things are in the recovery program?
100%.
Those are like fundamentals from the Bible.
Yeah.
That like say, you're trying to get close to God, you're trying to know God, humble yourselves, confess your sins, forgive others, surrender, and then let's put some our feet to the pavement and do this.
And live it in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, whenever I hear you, it's like, oh, I think she's getting really close to like narrowing down who God is.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, then the history of 12-step programs is they come from the Oxford Group,
Yes.
which was a Christian movement to convert people
Oh, interesting.
and to bring about like world peace and convert world leaders and things like that. And so this guy in New York was approached by another guy who was in there who was sober at the time, and he was like, "Hey man, like I'm sober, like let me help you. I bet I can, if I can show you the way." And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try." I'm leaving out a lot, and I'm obviously not the expert. I'll just say that I'm not the expert on this history or addiction either. I'm not an addiction expert, right?
Okay.
So this New York guy was sober, and he was doing his best to participate in this group. And it was a Christian group. And what he found, and this is based on his own writings that I read, my interpretation of what he wrote, was that they were telling him, stop looking for alcoholics. It's the Great Depression. There's alcoholics everywhere on the streets, right? Stop going to those people that are homeless and trying to help them. We're trying to transform the whole world. We want to go to like people with money. We want to go to people with influence. And you're over here showing up to our meetings saying, where's the guy, where's the drunk? And they're saying, well, of course we love these people, we want to help them, but, and he was like, I kind of disagree. And he was like, the way you guys are presenting this message is not getting through to alcoholics because we're very stubborn, right? That's how he was like, we just don't. So he, from what I understand, said, we're going to do our own thing. And thank you so much for everything we've learned from you. And so much for like our sobriety and this amazing foundation. But we're going to do our own thing now. And we're taking the religion out, and we are taking out a lot of these rituals, and we're just making it open spirituality. And we're letting people choose their own conception of God. So that way it can be open to all people and not people, and we can help people who are prejudiced, essentially. Because if you're prejudiced against Christianity and there's a Christian movement, you're not going to go there.
Yeah, so
right?
like an all-inclusiveness to really like reach. You know what's ironic is like he was reaching the one on the street, but now it's grown, so now where it's like global.
It's an incredibly beautiful program. There's like 36 spiritual principles within it. There's the 12 by which the individual can live and stay sober. There's the 12 principles by which the groups live and stay sober as a group. And then there's 12 more principles called the 12 concepts, which is about how the actual organization is run. And it's very unique because if your life depends on living a spiritual life based on spiritual principle in relation with God, then you are, and seeking power within an organization is inherently against that. So you have people who are like, nobody's really grasping for power, right?
Yes. Okay.
So the program, it lives.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Get it off me.
A couple of random questions. Has your mom changed at all since you've? Yes. Yeah. Is there any details you want to share there? Like, is she still kind of in the same spiritual, religious thing that she was in, or she's different?
She's very different. She has become a spiritual director with the Catholic Church. she did like a 2-year program at like I can't remember now. I was in high school when she did it. But obviously I'm in my 30s, so she's grown and changed, and to become an adult is to honor that your parents are imperfect people, and that they've by the time I'm no longer a child, they're no longer the same parent that I had. Right?
Yeah.
So it would be dishonorable. I would be dishonoring them to say they're exactly the same and they suck because they didn't, you know. So they've changed a lot.
She's Christian though.
Yes. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. She's kind of come back to the faith that she grew up in. Yeah. Okay. And your father?
He's still not religious.
No. Is he still kind of on the fence?
Still on the fence. I don't think he's really changed in that way. But our relationships have drastically changed.
Yeah, I bet.
Right?
You're showering now?
I shower.
Yeah.
I no longer, play victim the way I did.
Yeah, I bet.
I used to call them and be like, everything sucks and I can't do this and it's your fault and if only you had done this when I was a kid. And
it's gotta be so hard for a parent.
It's so cruel.
Especially for a father and his little daughter. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, to blame them for everything that went wrong in my life, so cruel and just not even true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course not. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is something that's surprised you about when you look back at the last 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, whatever? Because now it seems like, especially like the last year and a half, you're like skyrocketing in so many different ways of your life. And it's so encouraging because I saw you 3.5 years ago when you were that little dove. What is a baby deer called?
Fawn.
Fawn.
Fawn?
I don't know why I said dove. Fawn. And now you're jumping over fences. You're in people's backyards.
Yeah. I think the thing that's the biggest surprise is that God's time is very fast.
Okay.
Like things that I thought would take forever.
Yeah.
And that I've literally grew up, like I was kind of stuck like a little 4-year-old, right, in my mind. And now I feel my age. So in 4 years, I've matured like 30.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. To have all of the conflict skills, obviously I'm not done. And there are probably people who would disagree that I act like I'm in my 30s. To each their own, I'm still pretty silly. But for example, I'm in like this amazing relationship that happened very fast, but also really slowly.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you want to touch on that a little bit? Because I think it's so cool.
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us, when you first met, and then if you just kind of want to summarize about when you had that realization.
Okay.
And then where you're at now.
See if I can be brief. I struggle with brevity.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, so we were friends. He had asked me out, and I said no, because I really liked being his friend.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was a person who would use other people to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
Right? I want them to like me because that makes me feel good.
Yeah, so just for context, we need to, when you guys became friends, you were still that little fawn. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was around the time I met you. I was barely a year sober.
Okay.
And so he really liked me.
Yeah.
And now he says that there was a feeling in him that was that's, and so he asked me out, and he was also in recovery, and he was still new. And I said to him, finish your 4th and 5th step, which is do your moral inventory and confess, read it to someone, and get a year sober, and then we can talk. But I didn't mean it then you can ask me out. I just sort of meant then we can evolve our friendship. But I'm keeping this distance because I don't trust myself around people romantically, because I was still compulsive.
Yes.
And I really liked him. I wanted to be his friend, and I wanted to preserve that and honor that. Mm-hmm. There's also, in what we do in our 4th and 5th step, is we write an ideal for relationships, and and I wanted to honor that. And part of my ideal was that I was no longer going to lead people on. I was going to be honest.
Yes.
Okay, so then I dated other people.
Wait.
I know.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. So then I dated someone else, but this person I thought I was really intentional about, like, I want to date this person. I'm going to be honest about my intentions. And we had a relationship that I learned a lot about myself. And I really saw all the behaviors that showed up with my parents too. Justifying, entitlement, over apologizing, lying about things I truly felt that were deeply important to me, and I would compromise and pretend. Okay.
Do you think that was like a preparation for?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then he was dating other people, like very attempting, right, to do it spiritually and like with honest and integrity. It's practice. We don't do anything perfectly.
Right.
Right. So then I was having this change. I was doing that two-way prayer thing in the bad relationship, and I called that guy. I had this transformation around like my perception of my higher power, and I said, if there's a real power, I want the thing that's real. I don't care what it is anymore. I just want the thing that's real. I was reading the book by Henry Drummond about love, and I realized that the only reason I wanted to be in a relationship was so that somebody would fix the love I felt I didn't get as a child. My own, and how selfish is that?
How honest is that?
Like, it's not, right? To be like, oh, you have, and as if a person can fix that, right?
Right.
They don't have the power to fix that.
Yeah.
And so it's doomed to fail.
Yeah.
So I realized I had really selfish motives. And that actually brought me to my knees. It hit really hard. And so I kind of turned it over and I said, okay, I'm no longer going to think about who it is, what they look like, what they sound like, where they're from.
Yeah.
I'm not controlling this anymore at all. I don't know anything about love.
Yeah.
And I'm just starting from the bottom. And so I'm going to start in the laboratory of my current existing life, which is I'm going to attempt to be loving as best I can to the people already in my life. And who are those people? And then there was also this element of, I believe that the desire for a relationship that represents like the highest love is God-given. And so I'm no longer going to minimize that need. And I'm going to say that I'm trusting that it'll happen when it's meant to.
Yeah.
And that I'll know when it's the right person.
Okay.
So I had that.
Yeah, a lot of surrender.
A lot of surrender.
Yeah.
And then I was like, who in my life can I start to love? And of course, there's my friend, Ricky, who was a friend I really valued. And so I was like, okay, how can I start practicing love with him and other friends? We went to a concert. At the end of the concert, I was like smiling every day. And I was like, I wonder if he's smiling. And if he's not, I'm going to send him a text that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm going to make him smile and make him laugh. And then I very slowly realized, like, okay, my heart is beating faster when I'm around him or things like that. But he didn't meet my criteria because in my mind, I'm really weird. I'm really goofy. I say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I need a person who's very serious who can fix that for me. It's not compatible, right, for me to date someone who's totally serious when I'm a goober.
Yeah.
But I thought that I needed somebody to fix that part of me.
Yeah, interesting.
So my ego had an idea of who I needed to date, and it kept me picking people that were completely wrong for me.
Yeah.
You see?
Still trying to fix that. Okay. Yeah.
So then I used the program. I wrote some inventory on all of this, and I wanted to be sure that I didn't tell him I had feelings if it was just like my ego using him. And after about a month or so, I did all that process. I talked a lot with other people in program. And in prayer, it just kept saying, okay, tell him now. And I didn't know that about a week before I told him, he also had a surrender with it. And he was like, I give up trying to control relationships. Whoever is the person, just bring the person.
Wow.
And then after dinner one day, it was a big group of us. I was like, I need you to hang back because I got to talk to you. And I told him. And he was all, oh, like.
What did, can you share some of the details of what you told him and how he responded? You don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I basically just said, I'm telling you this because I really value you as a friend and I don't want to be dishonest in our relationship.
Yeah.
And so for the sake of transparency, I'm sharing this information, but I don't need anything from you. I don't need you to do anything about it. I just need to be honest.
Yeah.
And I have feelings for you and I just need you to know. And that was it. And then I was just sort of like, okay, well, see you later.
Yeah.
He was like, wait. And so then he was like, well, would you like to take action on this? Do you want to explore this? And I said, yes, I would, if you're open to that. But I haven't, I didn't know if he was still interested. It had been 2 years. We were friends.
He was initially interested, though. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
But I had no idea if he still would be.
He had to go through the 4th and 5th step and wait a year. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But meanwhile, we had been meeting for dinner like once a month.
Yeah.
And seeing each other regularly.
Wow.
In friend group.
Yeah.
But he was so respectful after I told him no. He continued to be my friend and like greet me, but he never would text me or like do the things that I expected people to do, like, oh, let me change your mind, like I'm the best, look what you're missing. He never did that. Yeah. He just showed up like, I'm still your friend, I still care about you, and I'm staying within the bounds of the relationship you set out for us.
Wow.
And that, I think, gave us a lot of trust, like an immense amount.
Yeah.
Where I could start to trust. And then I could start to experience my own feelings for him, which were being pushed back because of my egotistical ideas of the relationship I needed based on my own pride.
So he ultimately, he did still have those feelings, but he was asking you, like, what does this mean? Like, what are we going to do? Are we going on dates and stuff like that? Yeah. Okay. How long ago was that?
That was a little bit over a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this guy.
I know.
He's so cool. It's cool the way that it happens too, is because like it's like the movie. It's like she doesn't know, but they're friends, and then they ended up falling in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kept saying like, okay, right person, wrong time. And so we've talked a lot about just the divine timing of it. Yeah. Because I think if we had dated earlier, I don't know if it would have worked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Timing is so crazy. Like there's so many times I think where it's like you are avoiding a situation that could be detrimental, or you get into something too early, or you're impatient, right? But God's timing is so perfect. And then also you said this earlier, but I think God, the way that he works is like what we would think is like, oh, we need to get in a relationship now so we could date for 3 years and then be engaged for 1 year. And God doesn't work that way. God's like, maybe I want you single the whole time, and then you're married in 9 months. And it just seems so different to us, but it's like, that's the way that he's doing it for whatever purposes he has. Yeah. So you had talked about that earlier with from going from 4 years old to 30 years old in a very short amount of time. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love that story though. Yeah. This has been great. Is there anything you think we missed? Any points that you kind of want to go back to or highlight? Any questions?
Yeah, I guess I would just say that I don't really know how to say this, but just to highlight the fact that obviously I don't know very much, right? Like generally, the more I learn, the more I experience.
That's the issue.
The more I realize that I have experienced just the surface of, right? Yeah. And so, and I also retain the right to be wrong and to change my mind. And so this is everything, if I'm climbing a mountain, what I'm saying today is turning back and looking back. It's from the perspective I have at this point. But when I'm climbing up here, I'm going to see the terrain very differently. Yes. And so, I reserve the right to be wrong. Yeah. And to have said foolish things probably. Yeah. But that, the commitment, I think, is the important part. To stay seeking and to stay growing. Yes. And when I realize I've had a misconception, to say, okay, let that go. What's the real thing? Yeah, that's something I really appreciate about you is your honesty and like the way that you can reflect. Maybe you learned this in your recovery program. It's like you're brutally honest with yourself and oftentimes with others, which is really cool. Yeah. You're not like sugarcoating anything anymore. Yeah. Which could be very helpful for, I think, a lot of people. Yeah, I think I definitely learned dishonesty is not love. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Let's say that there is someone who is struggling with some form of addiction.
watching this video, is there a question? Is there an encouragement you want to give them? A direction you want to point them?
Yeah, I would just say that there's, many paths to recovery, right? And the 12-step program is not a monopoly. We don't claim to be. And we are also not, we're amateurs, right? It's peer to peer. And so I think the important thing is, like I said, just to keep going, and that there is a solution for every problem. That's what I've learned. And that's a totally different way of life than I had before. To say, okay, there's a solution, I'm running the experiment in the laboratory of my life that if I act on spiritual principles, the solution will come. And that has proved true for me. And so whether that looks like 12-step recovery or treatment centers or wherever, there's no other place to start except for where you are, right? There's anything else is just lying to yourself. You are where you are.
Yes.
So just start. And it's not, it's not a failure.
Right.
You're not broken. And we all have it, these vices, right? And we blame ourselves and we shame ourselves, and it's not that, right?
Yeah.
On our own power, it's very difficult to live up to the ideas we have for ourselves. That's just part of being human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything on the horizon that you're like looking forward to, or that you're working on, or that's?
Yes. So we just moved in together, so that is a very cool. Like, you sort of hear, and then it's like, oh, there's all this fear, stress, whatever. So I'm working through that stuff. And then ideally, I think I can feel there's things changing, but it's still internal, right?
Okay.
So, but I am obviously I'm talking to you, I'm looking more at like reading the Bible and...
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I need a person. I really need a person to read it with.
You don't need a person.
No, I don't.
I don't think so. I think if you're so like spiritually equipped and you have so much integrity and honesty and this and that, like if you're reading the book of John, like I don't think you need someone to be like, what does this mean? Like you could just read it and move on, or you can read it and ask God, right? We're not, like I've read the Bible, I'm on my 3rd time right now, and there's so much I don't understand. But what I do understand is enough. And it kind of goes back to that mountain analogy where it's like, oh, the first time I read it, I looked down with this perspective and I knew this much. And now the second time I know much more, right? And there's little insights and revelations and answers through prayers and guidance through people, like with anything in life. Yeah, I don't think you need anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Alrighty. This was amazing. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.